Oh yeah, 2389 just posted a 106.278 crossing start finish. Simon of the Desert is on his first practice flying lap. Oh yeah, 2389 has a best lap time of 105.770.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
David Zahn has a best lap time of 106.356.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
With just 32 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Simon just posted a 111.666 crossing start finish.
Simon is not giving up and will be looking for every 10th.
There are just over 30 minutes left in this practice session. Simon of the Desert has a best lap time of 111.666. Let's get this qualifying session underway here at Alabama Racing Course. Adam is on his out lap. You can feel the tension building. Ryan Wilson is out on track and getting ready to push for his qualifying time. That's the outlap done for Ryan Wilson. He'll now look to focus on his first flying lap. It's all about strategy in these early moments. Sketty is taking his time. Sketty has completed his outlap. The adrenaline is pumping. Ryan Wilson is on his out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to put in a fast lap time. Narwhal is on his first flying lap. Simon of the Desert will be looking to use this first hot lap to set a solid time in the standings. This is what it's all about. Narwhal is putting everything he's got into this qualifying session.
Narwhal certainly is nailing this one. This is shaping up to be a great performance.
It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Simon of the Desert is nailing both.
Absolutely. Simon is showing the world what he's made of.
Simon of the Desert completes that lap in his ASRL 99 kart road, putting him in P8. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. Oh yeah, 2389 has found an extra 0.31. Oh yeah, 2389 will be happy, with a time good enough for second in this qualifying session. Adam is in the green by 0.41. Adam has some work to do, as his best time of 106.035 is only good enough for 6th. Simon of the Desert is up 0.1. Adam will be happy, with a time good enough for 4th in this qualifying session. Sketty is in the green by 0.16. Sketty looks to be off the pace. Janet, what can he do to improve?
Well, Marco, he'll need to find those extra tenths of a second by pushing just a little bit harder on the braking and carrying more speed through the corners.
David Zahn is now up 0.12. David Zahn will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for him to find that missing 1.147, but that won't stop him from trying.
There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Simon of the Desert has some work to do, as his best time of 107.123 is only good enough for 8th. Sketty has some work to do, as his best time of 106.806 is only good enough for 8th. Adam will be happy, with a time good enough for 4th in this qualifying session. Stefano Amadei will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session. Simon of the Desert has found an extra 0.29. Simon of the Desert has some work to do, as his best time of 1:06.743 is only good enough for 8th. Stefano Amadei will be happy, with a time good enough for 2nd in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 0.744 gap to pole.
Narwhal is up 0.5. Narwhal will be happy, with a time good enough for 2nd in this qualifying session. Stefano Amadei has improved by 0.16. What a fantastic showing from Ryan Wilson in qualifying. He's currently in the top spot and in prime position for a strong start. He's showcasing his talent and determination with these exceptional lap times.
Well said, Marco. Wilson is truly in a league of his own in this qualification session. His dominant display can only be the result of dedication to practice and personal improvement.
Currently in 4th, Oyad 2389 has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether he can convert this performance into Oyad 2389 will be happy, with a time good enough for 4th in this qualifying session. What a performance from Malero, currently in 7th on the grid. It's a good spot for now, but other drivers are trying their hardest to put in a better time and push him down the order. Malero has some work to do, as his best time of 1:05.939 is only good enough for 7th. A solid qualifying performance by Simon of the Desert, positioned in 8th. The question now is whether he can make further progress and challenge the frontrunners.
Spot on analysis, Marco. Simon is positioned well in 8th. It's crucial for him to maintain his focus and defend his position in the upcoming race.
A mesmerizing display from Ryan Wilson in this qualifying session. He's left everyone in awe with his speed and precision, currently leading the pack and setting the standard, sending a clear message to his competitors.
Absolutely, Marco. Wilson is making his presence known with this outstanding performance. His competitors will need to dig deep and find something special to challenge for first.
Adam has put in a great effort and currently holds 5th. With the session winding down, time is running out to unleash his full potential for a better starting position. Adam will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session. Adam will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for him to find that missing 0.914, but that won't stop him from trying.
It's a very still day here at Alabama Racing Course, as we're getting ready to kick things off. Starting from pole position is a great opportunity for Ryan Wilson to take control of the race.
It's also a nightmare if he can't hold onto it. Let's see how he will handle the pressure.
Narwhal has a great opportunity starting on the front row.
He will have to be smart about his moves. He must not burn out too early.
The third place on the grid belongs to Stefano Amade, a driver with plenty of experience.
Stefano will be taking no prisoners today.
The fourth position belongs to Oyad 2389.
I think we are all looking forward to seeing what Oyad 2389 can do from here.
As the drivers prepare to take off, Adam sits in 5th place on the starting grid.
The American driver will be focused on a good result from here.
Holding strong in 6th place is David Zahn.
Putting that ASRL 99 kart road into prime position for the race.
Our 7th place starter, Malero, is a driver who knows how to make up ground on the track. Simon of the Desert is placed in 8th. Sketty is 9th.
Lining up in the mid-pack.
And just like that, the race has started. Now, we'll see who has the skill and nerve to outmaneuver their rivals.
Staying out of trouble in these early moments is crucial. It's a fine line between pushing hard and staying safe.
Settling into a rhythm is going to be crucial here.
Like gladiators, they enter Marco, but instead of lions and swords, our champions fight in an arena of tarmac, and with fire-breathing machines of cutting-edge materials, designed to explore the very limits of physics itself in what can sometimes be very much a fight to the death.
As the drivers get this race underway, let me give a shout out to the admin team at ASRL for making this all possible. Heroes one and all.
What a beautiful day for racing here at Alabama Racing Course. This is going to be good to watch.
This is going to be one hell of a race. I can already feel it. Breaking update. An impressive showing from Oyad 2389, who has gained positions and left Narwhal in the dust. As a former racing driver, Janet, how important is the relationship between a driver and their team during a race?
It's absolutely crucial, Marco. The team provides valuable information and support, helping the driver make the
Breaking update. That won't be ideal for Adam. Every move counts now as Narwhal works to reel in OYAD 2389 and overtake for P3.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Narwhal needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
The gap between Narwhal and OYAD 2389 is growing. It's now up to 1.0 seconds. This race is getting even more intense. The drivers are pushing each other to the limit.
It's like they're playing a game of chicken, but with cars. And the winner gets to take home the checkered flag and bragging rights.
That's one way to put it. These drivers have to be in top physical and mental shape to compete at this level.
It's like they're training for the Olympics. And like you said, the mental fortitude required to stay focused and alert for the entire race is wild.
I think I need a nap just watching them. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. You can see that car bouncing around as it rides the curves. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
Malero is in the flow, putting in his best lap so far. Stefano Amadei is on a mission, chasing Ryan Wilson, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. It's not looking good for Stefano Amadei, who is still behind Ryan Wilson, and the gap is increasing. Janet, can you share some strategies that drivers use to manage tire degradation during a race?
Certainly, Marco. Some strategies include adjusting the car's setup for better tire life, altering driving lines to reduce wear, and using tire management techniques like lift and coast to preserve grip for as long as possible.
OYAD 2389 is on a mission, chasing Stefano Amadei, who's currently got a comfortable lead.
The gap is 0.9 seconds now. OYAD 2389 is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Stefano.
This is what it's all about, folks. Ryan Wilson is in hot pursuit of Stefano Amadei, who's just trying to stay ahead. Wait, I don't think that's the fastest way around Alabama racing course. It seems like Ryan Wilson is getting in range of Stefano Amadei.
If Wilson gets too close, he might end up taking the paint off.
The pressure is on as OYAD 2389 tries to catch up to Ryan Wilson.
The gap between them is just over 0.5 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
The race is really heating up. Ryan Wilson is hunting down Stefano Amadei with everything he's got.
Wilson is looking to close the 0.3 second gap and make a pass.
OYAD 2389 is giving it his all, chasing down Ryan Wilson in P2.
It's a game of strategy now as OYAD 2389 hunts down Wilson. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
Good news for OYAD 2389. The gap to Ryan Wilson has decreased. It's now down to 0.2 seconds. This is proving to be an exciting race so far. We are truly privileged to witness these legends of the track battle it out for victory.
And you know what? I am so honored to be sitting here beside you today. As a fellow it's always great to work with someone who shares my passion for motor racing. Plus, your insightful commentary is making this race even more exciting.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed. This is what racing is all about. Two fierce competitors pushing each other to the limit.
A mistake.
Wait, Hard break for Ryan Wilson, as they slip down the field. Great driving from Ryan Wilson, who has just gained a place and moved up to second.
Yes, Ryan is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Oh yeah, 2389 is chasing Ryan Wilson in P2.
We'll have to wait to see if Oh Yeah 2389 can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
It looks like Ryan Wilson is in control. He's ahead of Oh Yeah 2389 by over. Hold up, breaking info. Looks like that's a mistake from Oh Yeah 2389. This could be costly. Oh, this is getting intense. Ryan Wilson is just a few car lengths behind Stefano Amadei. Ryan Wilson is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Stefano Amadei at the moment. Ryan Wilson is looking for an opportunity to get around Stefano Amadei.
He'll need to keep it on the road, or at the very least the rumble strips. The fastest way around is not usually in the grass. As the saying goes, too much grass will slow you down.
It's looking good for Narwhal, sitting in 8th. The battle for P1 is heating up as Ryan Wilson tries to catch Stefano Amadei in P1. It seems like Ryan Wilson is struggling. His last lap time was a bit off the pace of Stefano Amadei.
Hopefully Wilson can find some of that missing time and get it back.
Anyone who says that ASRL is not the best racing club on the planet is clearly insane. The quality of driving we're seeing out there on the track is absolutely phenomenal.
I couldn't agree more. It's like these drivers were born to race. They're weaving in and out of traffic, taking corners at unbelievable speeds, and making it all look effortless. It's clear that they've put in the time and effort to hone their skills.
Looks like Ryan Wilson is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer.
A solid performance from Narwhal, who is holding down 8th. Braking development. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Stefano is not going to be happy about that.
3. Hold the phone. Oh, the pressure is really getting to Stefano Amadei. He just lost 4th position to Oyad 2389 and really needs to regroup quickly.
He's been focusing so hard on maintaining his position, and now he's slipped back in the field. Meanwhile, Oyad 2389 has been making some great moves and is now on the charge.
The delta is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Malero needs to find a way to close the gap. The gap between Malero and David Zahn is widening. It's now up to 2.6 seconds.
Malero needs to get it together to make a dent in that gap.
It's all about consistency for David Zahn, who is currently second.
That's right, Zahn can't afford to make any mistakes or let up. Every point counts in this championship.
Oh, Janet. David Zahn has seen his lead over Malero shrink to 2.6 seconds.
This is a critical moment in the race for Zahn. He'll need to find some extra speed and stay ahead of Malero.
Janet, what's the impact of tire degradation on race strategy? How does it affect a driver's approach to the race?
Tire degradation plays a crucial role in race strategy, Marco. Teams and drivers have to consider the optimal time to pit for fresh tires and adjust their race pace to balance speed with tire conservation. It adds another layer of complexity to the racing challenge.
David Zahn is placed second at the moment. That's not a small gap, but Sketty has what it takes to challenge for the position. It's certainly not going to plan for Sketty right now, who is struggling to keep up with Oyad 2389.
Sketty needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way. If he can close the gap down, he may be able to bring the fight to Oyad 2389.
Things are going according to plan for David Zahn, who is currently second. He can't hold on. David Zahn is losing time to Malero.
This is a real test for Zahn. He'll need to find some extra pace and hold off Malero to have a shot at winning this race.
It's looking good for David Zahn, sitting in second.
Definitely, but he can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers gunning for that position, and Dave has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Sketty as there is a big gap ahead.
Anything can happen yet, and it usually does. I've certainly seen drivers come back from worse.
Sketty is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Oyad 2389 to 8.1 seconds. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure Simon of the Desert is going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. He's not giving up without a fight.
We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with Simon in eighth determined to catch up.
It's not going to plan for Simon of the Desert, who is trailing behind Narwhal and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now.
This is not ideal for Simon, but there's still time to turn this around. He'll need to focus and not let that gap get any bigger.
If everything goes as planned, this is going to be a race for the ages.
The drivers are executing their strategies to perfection, making the most of every opportunity. This is what top-level racing is all about.
A strong showing from Ryan Wilson, who is currently first. The pursuit is on. Stefano Amadei is closing the gap on Simon of the Desert, determined to claim P8.
With just 0.5 seconds between them, Stefano will need to close the gap to have hopes of a pass.
The drivers are showing their mettle today. It's a privilege to witness their skill on this challenging track.
The stakes have never been higher. This is a battle of skill and nerves.
That's right. These drivers are really pushing themselves to the limit, and it's incredible to see the level of focus and determination they're bringing to the track.
Absolutely. It takes a lot of courage to compete at this level, and these drivers have it in spades. Let's hope they can keep it up and give us a race to remember.
The pursuit is on. Oyad 2389 is working on that gap to Malero, determined to claim P3.
It's a game of strategy now as Oyad 2389 hunts down Malero.
A solid performance from Adam, who is holding down sixth.
Absolutely. And he'll need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
Oh, the frustration must be building for Adam. He's just lost 6th position to Narwhal and he's going to have to work hard to get it back. This is a thrilling battle as Oyad 2389 edges closer to Malero in their fight. Hold on a moment. And Oyad 2389 has just won the place from Malero.
Absolutely, Marco. But there's still a long way to go in this race, and Oyad 2389 can't afford to get complacent.
It looks like David Zahn is pushing hard to catch up to Ryan Wilson.
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination.
It's game on now. David Zahn has closed the gap to Ryan Wilson. It's now down to 2.5 seconds.
That's a great effort from Dave. He'll need to keep up the pressure and see if he can make a move.
Oh, this is getting intense. Oyad 2389 needs to keep Malero in his sights.
Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
It looks like we might get a battle between Oyad 2389 and Malero. The crowd is on the edge of their seats as Sketty in 5th chases after Oyad 2389.
This is where experience comes into play. Oyad 2389 has been in this situation before and knows how to defend for position, but Sketty is hungry for success and won't give up easily.
Look at that. Oyad 2389 is hot on the tail of Malero.
Oyad 2389 needs to focus to have a chance at getting past Malero.
The gap between Oyad 2389 and Malero is growing. It's now up to 0.5 seconds.
It's not over yet, but Oyad 2389 needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Malero.
Narwhal is placed 6th at the Hold that thought. Oh dear, Narwhal has had an incident.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race he'd been looking at a decent result.
Things are heating up as Oyad 2389 tries to close the gap to Malero.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Oyad 2389 is really walking that fine line.
It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Oyad 2389 gaining places and Malero losing them. The action is non-stop as Malero shadows Oyad 2389 through every twist and turn, determined to claim 3rd.
You know what they say, keep your friends close, and your racing rivals even closer. Looks like Malero is taking that advice to heart today.
It's not looking good for Malero, who is still behind Oyad 2389 and the gap is increasing. You know, Janet, during a long race like this, how easy is it for a driver to experience a lapse in concentration?
It can be quite easy, Marco. With so many factors to consider and the intense focus required, even the most experienced drivers can have a momentary lapse. That's why mental training and staying in the zone are so important.
Stefano Amadei is trying to catch up to Simon of the Desert. The gap is slowly closing, But time is running out. Situations like these are breaking update. That won't be ideal for Malero.
Alabama Racing Course is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
It's all about consistency for Malero, who is currently fourth. Things don't seem to be going Stefano Amade's way in this race, as that's a big gap he'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. Stefano Amade is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Simon of the Desert at the moment.
This is a frustrating situation for Stefano, but he can't give up just yet. He'll need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Simon.
Well, it doesn't look like David Zahn is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Ryan Wilson. The gap between David Zahn and Ryan Wilson is widening. It's now up to 4.3 seconds.
He needs to pick up the pace for sure, but that's not always a real possibility.
The gap between Malero and Sketty is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Malero to even allow Sketty to get a look in.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Sketty is going to have to get more serious with practice to not get outclassed on the circuit.
It looks like Ryan Wilson has found another gear in the last sector of the race.
He'll be the one celebrating at the finish line.
And that, folks, is how it's done. A solid performance and great win from Ryan Wilson.
That was a true masterclass in driving from Wilson. You could see him making split-second decisions with total confidence, and it really paid off. What a performance.
Impressive second-place finish for David Zahn. What a race from Oyad 2389. He kept his cool and secured a well-earned third place on the podium.
Fantastic result.
Malero, Narwhal, and Adam brings home 4th, 6th, and 7th. 5th is Sketty. Simon of the Desert take 8th. Stefano Amade end in 9th. It's a very still day here at Alabama Racing Course, as we're getting ready to get things underway.
The tension's building now. This is going to be another great race.
Stefano Amadei will lead the way from pole position.
He can't get cocky. This is ASRL, and anything can happen.
Starting on the front row gives Simon of the Desert the best possible chance at challenging for the lead.
This is a great place to be, but there's always the threat of drivers right behind getting a better start and a slipstream into the first turn.
Starting from the third position on the grid, we have Adam.
Adam is in a good place to mount a good challenge come the first corner.
On the fourth grid slot we have Narwhal.
He's going to have to be quick out of the blocks to keep up with the top performers.
At fifth, we have the one and only Sketty.
Sketty will be ready to show what he's made of.
Malero lines up in sixth place as the engines rev and the race begins.
Starting from here, Malero may already have expectations of a podium finish.
Oh yeah, 2389 is going to be starting from 7th.
He can't afford to be complacent. This is race day, after all.
David Zahn will be looking to gain ground quickly starting from 8th on the grid. In the middle of the pack, we have Ryan Wilson starting from the 9th position on the grid.
The proof will most definitely be in the pudding for this Canadian driver.
The moment we've been waiting for has arrived. The green flag is waving and the race is on.
This is where the driver's true abilities will be put to the test. Staying calm and collected while pushing for the lead is the ultimate challenge.
Having started in P1, Stefano Amadei will be hoping for a good result in this race. As the tires come up to temp, their available grip is changing, and the drivers that manage this transition best are likely to make progress through the field.
The first lap can always be a bit of a melee as everyone tries to establish themselves. It's easy for inexperienced racers to blow it in T1.
The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many incidents for them to pick over when the dust settles on this one.
I for one am really excited, Marco. The rivalry between Zahn and Malero has been building before the race, and this is where scores are settled.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Adam is closing in on Stefano Amadei.
This is not going to be an easy pass to make.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
Ryan Wilson is running 5th, and trying to catch Oh Yeah 2389.
I would not be surprised to see him get this pass completed soon.
Breaking news, folks. What a move. Ryan Wilson has moved up to 4th. The race is heating up as Sketty in 8th closes in on Simon of the Desert. Wait, I don't think that's the fastest way around Alabama Racing Course. Adam is on a mission. chasing Stefano Amadei, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. Ryan Wilson is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. The pressure is on as Adam tries to catch up to Stefano Amadei. The race is really heating up. Ryan Wilson is hunting down Oyad 2389 with everything he's got. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Adam is chasing Stefano Amadei in P1. Ryan Wilson is giving it his all, chasing down Oyad 2389 in P3.
The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds. Can Ryan close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
Oh, this is getting intense. Adam is just a few car lengths behind Stefano Amadei. The gap between Adam and Stefano Amadei is getting smaller.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
The pressure is on as Malero works on catching up to David Zahn. It's certainly not going to plan for Malero right now, who is struggling to keep up with David Zahn.
This is a tough situation for Malero. He'll need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
The pursuit is on. Adam is closing the gap on Stefano Amadei, determined to claim P1. It looks like Adam is making a move. The gap to Stefano Amadei is now down to 0.3 seconds. I'm curious. Janet, stop the press. A brilliant maneuver from Adam, who has just moved up the field. Every move counts now as Ryan. Braking alert. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Oops, Stefano is going to be wishing that hadn't happened.
Ryan Wilson is trying his best to catch Oyad 2389. It's not going to plan for Ryan Wilson, who is trailing behind Oyad 2389, and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now.
Ryan needs to get it together to make a dent in that gap.
Let's talk about tire degradation. Janet, how does it affect the car's handling, and what do drivers need to do to adapt to the changing conditions?
Tire degradation can significantly impact handling, Marco. As the tires wear, the grip reduces, and drivers need to adjust their braking points, cornering speeds, and throttle application to maintain control of the car.
This is a thrilling battle as Malero edges closer to David Zahn in their fight for P4. Things are heating up as Ryan Wilson tries to close the gap to Oyad 2389. The battle for P4 is heating up as Malero tries to catch David Zahn in P4. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
Look at that. Malero is hot on the tail of David Zahn. Stop the press. Looks like that's a mistake from Malero. This could be costly.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 1 kph out there right now.
David Zahn has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Ryan Wilson. I expect his only hope at this point is that Ryan makes an error. Hold on a moment. That won't be ideal for Narwhal. This will require some expert driving from David Zahn. Ryan Wilson is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. It seems like David Zahn has got the bit between his teeth, improving on Ryan Wilson's lap time there. Things are going according to plan for Malero, who is currently breaking news, folks. And Malero has just lost the place to Simon of the Desert.
Malero just got served a big slice of Eat My Dust by Simon. Hope he's got his eating pants on.
Sketty is on a mission, chasing Simon of the Desert, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. Sketty is on a charge. His split time shows he's upped his pace.
Sketty appears to be pushing. Hopefully he can keep it together.
As we enjoy seeing these titans of the track battle it out, let's not forget about the pit crews. Those guys and girls are like a well-oiled machine themselves.
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of the racing world. But you know what they say, behind every great driver is an even greater pit crew.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Sketty is closing in on Simon of the Desert.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Sketty should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Simon.
Oh yeah, 2389 is pushing to maintain the lead, while Ryan Wilson is working to close in and challenge for the position. The race is really heating up. Sketty is hunting down Simon of the Desert with everything he's got.
You can see that car bouncing around as it rides the curbs. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
The gap between Sketty and Simon of the Desert is growing. Braking alert. Tough break for Sketty, who has just lost a position. A strong showing from Adam, who is currently first. A commanding performance from Adam, who has increased his lead over Oyad 2389, putting him firmly in his rear view mirrors. Looks like Sketty is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. The gap between them is now just over 0.3 seconds.
It's not looking good for Sketty, who is still behind Malero, and the gap is increasing.
Sketty needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way. If he can close the gap down, he may be able to bring the fight to Malero.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Ryan Wilson, as there is a big gap ahead.
Ryan certainly isn't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon unless it's down to a mistake from Oh Yeah 2389.
Good news for Ryan Wilson. The gap to Oyad 2389 has decreased. It's now down to 0.6 seconds.
This is what racing is all about, hard-fought battles with as much determination as respect, between friends and enemies alike.
Fantastic racing on show here today, and it's not just the top drivers who are impressing us. Even the drivers at the back of the pack are putting up a good fight, battling it out for every position.
It's a testament to the level of competition at ASRL. Even the smallest mistake can cost you valuable seconds, or even lead to a crash. But these drivers are up to the challenge, and they're giving it their all. It's clear that ASRL really is the place to be for top quality racing.
Things don't seem to be going Stefano Amade's way in this race, as that's a big gap he'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. Ryan Wilson is running third, and trying to catch Oyad 2389. Ryan Wilson is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Oyad 2389 at the moment. The tension is building as Stefano Amade trails behind David Zahn. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting.
Stefano needs to find a little extra speed to bring the fight to David and move up the field.
The pressure is on as Ryan Wilson tries to catch up to Oyad 2389.
This is where every inch counts. Wilson is pushing hard to close the gap on Oyad 2389. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing. The gap between Ryan Wilson and Oyad 2389 is widening. It's now up to 0.6 seconds. It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Stefano Amade, who is currently in P5. We know Zahn isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate, Stefano is going to have to take it.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Ryan Wilson is chasing Oyad 2389 in P2. Ryan Wilson is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Oyad 2389 to 0.4 seconds. This is what separates the best from the rest. These drivers are demonstrating their racecraft, searching for any weakness to braking development. Superb driving from Malero, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
That's what we like to see. Malero is really showing his class today.
Stefano Amade is looking for a way to close that gap to David Zahn.
The mental game is just as important here. Stefano must keep his cool while putting pressure on David.
It's certainly not going to plan for Stefano Amade right now, who is struggling to keep up with David Zahn.
This is not ideal for Stefano, but there's still time to turn this around. He'll need to focus and not let that gap get any bigger.
Ryan Wilson is staying focused while chasing Oyad 2389 in P2.
I would not be surprised to see him challenge for the position.
Ryan Wilson needs to find some speed, or maybe get more consistent. Janet, he's just put in a slower lap than Oyad 2389.
It will be interesting to see if Oyad 2389 can keep outpacing Wilson.
Stefano Amade is giving it his all chasing down David Zahn in P4.
Stefano is really hustling that ASRL 99 kart road. He's riding the curbs and pushing the car to its limits.
Looking at the lap time, Stefano Amade is not currently on pace with David Zahn. Maybe he'll get a chance to see where to make up some time.
Hopefully Stefano can find some of that missing time and get it back.
The battle for P2 is heating up as Ryan Wilson tries to catch Oh Yeah 2389 in P2. This is a thrilling battle as Stefano Amadei edges closer to David Zahn in their fight for P4. Stefano Amadei has just put in a faster lap than David Zahn, so that's going to give him something to worry about.
As long as Stefano can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
Wilson is looking to close the 0.5 second gap and make a pass.
Things are heating up as Stefano Amadei tries to close the gap to David Zahn. These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Wilson needs to stay patient and wait for Oh Yeah 2389 to make a mistake.
Stefano Amadei will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops. Look at that. Ryan Wilson is hot on the tail of Oh Yeah 2389. Ryan Wilson could be on a charge here, Janet. He's just put in a quicker lap than Oh Yeah 2389.
The question now is, can Oh Yeah 2389 respond to that and pick up the pace? I'm not so sure.
During your racing career, Janet, did you have any specific techniques to regain concentration if you felt it slipping?
Yes, Marco, I had a few techniques. One was to take a couple of deep breaths and briefly reset my focus. Another was to use a specific keyword or phrase as a mental trigger to refocus my mind on the task at hand.
It may seem like Ryan Wilson is far behind, but Oh Yeah 2389 can't afford to let his guard down. One mistake could give Ryan Wilson an opening to catch up. It seems like Oh Yeah 2389 has got the bid between. Hold the phone. Oh dear, Ryan Wilson has had an incident. The gap between Adam and Oh Yeah 2389 is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Adam to even allow Oh Yeah 2389 to get a look in.
Anything can happen yet, and it usually does. I've certainly seen drivers come back from worse.
It looks like we might get a battle between Oh Yeah 2389 and Adam.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. A driver that stays calm and focused is more likely to come out on top.
Hey, Janet, you've had your fair share of races with little action. How did you handle the situation back in your racing days?
Well, Marco, patience is key in such scenarios. You need to stay focused and be ready to seize any opportunity that comes your way. It's like a game of chess at 200 miles per hour.
A solid performance from Oh Yeah 2389, who is holding down second.
Definitely Marco, but Oh Yeah 2389 can't afford to get complacent. This race is going to require focus and intensity.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Malero trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Stefano Amadei. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts.
Anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Malero pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if he can do it again.
It's game on now. Malero has closed the gap to Stefano Amadei. It's now down to 9.5 seconds.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure Oyad 2389 is going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. He's not giving up without a fight.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, 2389 in second will need to be patient and work carefully to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as he can't afford to take unnecessary risks, and that might lead to an off or damaging their car.
As we come into the final moments of this epic race, Adam is in the lead.
It takes a special kind of driver to perform under pressure like this. Adam has certainly risen to the occasion.
And it's a checkered flag for Adam, who crosses the finish line with a commanding victory. What a phenomenal performance, absolutely dominant today. What a fantastic race from Oyad 2389, who brings it home in second place.
Strong work securing second place. Well done.
Impressive drive from Ryan Wilson to claim the final spot on the podium.
What a drive, well-deserved spot on the podium with that performance.
Taking fourth is David Zahn. Coming in fifth and ninth we have Stefano Amadei and Sketty. Eighth sees Narwhal. Malero in sixth. Simon of the Desert claimed seventh.